Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jespresso. Today I'm going to be going over some more Throne of Eldraine spoilers. We are already on to multicolor, if you can believe that. Kind of awesome we got so far. With all that being said, I'm just going to hop right into it because we only have a couple more of these episodes to go. So our first card today is going to be Grum Gully the Generous. It is one generic, a red and a green, for a legendary creature Goblin Shaman, and it is a 3/3. Grum Gully the Generous has the ability that each other non-human creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional 1/1 counter on it. So the reason I'm talking about this card is this seems really good in tokens, or like anything like that. You could probably also play this in Hydras, and it'd be pretty good, because some Hydras will like double the amount of counters on them, or something like that. For 3 mana, that seems strong. I could see this being its own commander because it comes down at an early enough turn and does a relevant enough effect for that archetype that you'd probably want it in a deck like that. So overall, pretty good card. Our next card that we're talking about is Feyburrow Elder. Feyburrow Elder costs 1 generic and a green and a white for a creature Tree Folk Druid. It's a 0/0, but it gets +1/+1 for each color among permanents you control, and it's Vigilance. So on its own, it's always going to be a 2/2, at minimum, right? Because it's got that green and a white. And then it says tap, for each color among permanents you control, add 1 mana of that color. Whew! That's kind of spicy, and the fact that this is in standard is no joke. Let's say you play this on turn 3. Turn 4, if this thing lives, and you only have 2 colors in your deck, hopefully you have 3. I imagine playing red with this would be pretty easy. But let's say you have 2. You are able to now get out a 6-drop on turn 4. That is hella fine. And what if you ramp into this card, right? Like, there's a lot of things, and that's only if you have 2. Like, the second this thing becomes a 3/3 with Vigilance, it taps for 3 mana, is so good because you don't really have to put a whole lot of more work in there. We just got off a Ravnica block, and Ravnica block has all of the dual lands anyways, so it's pretty easy to run a very, like, at least a 3-color deck. This card is good. It's going to be good in Standard. It's going to be good in Commander. It's going to be great. It's great in both formats. So with that being said, we're going to move on to our next card, which is the Knight's Charge. Haha. This is from the what's it called? The Throne of Eldraine Brawl decks. So I think that they are specific only to Brawl, so you won't see this in the set. It is 1 generic, a white and a black for an enchantment. It says, whenever a knight you control attacks, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. From that set, it's not that bad. Like, those are pretty strong effects if you're attacking with 3 or 4 knights a turn. Then has the ability, pay 6 generic, a white and a black, and you can sacrifice Knight's Charge to return all knight creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Holy shit. So the fact that this synergizes with knights on turn 3 is relevant because you want cards that make your knights better. Anytime that you are playing a tribe, you want cards that make that tribe a better tribe. Then when you have the ability of just bringing them all back at the end game, that is so powerful because knights and things like that aren't always the strongest creature type, right? Like, they don't take as many hits. They're stronger in the early game, not quite so much in the late game. Well, now in the late game, this card says maybe they're not strong, like as strong in the late game, but you got 8 of them. Good card. I like it. It's versatile. Versatile cards seem to go far. With that being said, let's look at Improbable Alliance. It is 1 blue and a red for an enchantment. It's got a dwarf holding a pixie. It's got a pixie and a lamp. Flavorful. So whenever you draw your second card each turn, you create a 1/1 blue fairy creature token with flying, and then you can pay for a red and a blue to draw a card, then discard a card. This is very good. It is not hard to draw 2 cards in a turn. It's very easy, right? Drawing 2 cards is not a hard thing, and it's each turn. So if you do this on your opponent's turn, you can also get a fairy. Do you see what I'm getting at here? The fact that you're already drawing cards in a deck like this, the fact that you will always get that extra 1/1 from an early turn is very powerful. Like, don't underestimate it. In a deck like this, you can easily get like 3, 4, 5 fairies. And because they got flying, they're going to be great blockers. And once you hit like 3 of them, you can start to threaten your opponent. Like, 3 in the air each turn with burn will kill someone eventually. Let's look at another Is It card called the Royal Scions. This is the first Planeswalker, I think, that I'm previewing. It is 1 generic and a blue and a red for a 5 loyalty Planeswalker. Damn. It has a +1 that says draw a card, then discard a card. That's very good. It has another +1 that says target creature gets +2/+0 and gains first strike and trample until end of turn. Very good. And it has a -8 that says draw 4 cards. When you do, the Royal Scions deals damage to any target equal to the number of cards in your hand. That is, yep, that'll do it. So let's break this down. Planeswalkers are good when they come out early, have a way to protect themselves, and have an ultimate that will win you the game, right? This checks all of that. Turn 3, it's very easy to get this off, especially now. We got the whole Ravnica, like I said before. It has 3 relevant effects, and the way that it protects itself is just by starting at 6 loyalty. 6 loyalty, because you're going to plus it when it comes out, is so hard to kill when it first happens. Like, it's so hard to kill, right? Theoretically, you got a board that you played on turn 1 or 2, so it's pretty easy to, like, save it too. And then if you can keep this thing alive long enough, drawing 4 cards and then dealing damage to a target equal to the number of cards in your hand is nuts, right? Like, you're going to filter out your draws, which is great. Good value. If you don't, you'll have board presence, +2/+0, first strike and trample. Very hard to deal with. Don't forget the first strike. That's very hard. It will trade up and it will still deal damage. The ultimate is very powerful too, because when you draw that amount of cards, it's like you have 3 cards in hand to begin with. Now you have 7. You can kill your opponent's most relevant thing, or you could kill them. Don't both of those sound great? This is a high-tier Planeswalker. I imagine we will see a lot out of it. With that being said, let's talk about another Planeswalker. A very special big burly man to my heart. He has been cursed, unfortunately, when all he wanted to do was be with his wolves and boars. It is Garruk, the Cursed Huntsman. It is 4 generic mana and a black and a green for a legendary Planeswalker, Garruk. Yay! Starts with 5 loyalty counters, okay? And it doesn't have a plus ability. Well, what it does have is a way to protect itself. 0, create 2/2 black and green wolf creature tokens. When this creature dies, you put a loyalty counter on each Garruk you control. Each. I don't know if you're going to have a mono Garruk deck. If you do, ta-da! -3, destroy target creature, draw a card. That's important. You draw a card, so the fact that you can remove something, make a board, draw a card, that's really good. -6, you get an emblem with creatures you control get +3/+3 and have trample. Holy shit. That minus effect is a lot better than it seems. That is called an overrun effect. Overrun effects will win games on their own. Let me put it this way. Let's say you have a 1/1 out and a 2/2 out, and you somehow get the ult off on Garruk, right? You now have a 4/4 out and a 5/5 out with trample. Just on their own. That is so easy to do. If you do that, it is impossible for your opponent to win. Because on curve, none of their creatures will beat yours. Going forward in the game. None. And the 2/2 green and green wolf creature tokens is pretty good because it will protect Garruk and then it will get him to ult. Right? So it's like your opponent can't attack into them. They can attack freely because your opponent doesn't want to block them. If you don't get rid of them the first turn, well, guess what? The second turn, you're going to have 4 2/2 green wolf creature tokens. And if you think for a moment, oh, I'll just wipe the board, well, guess what? Now Garruk will ult and he'll live. Pretty good stuff. I think this card is a lot better than it seems. Like when we talk about late game finishers and like a standard deck, this is it. When we talk about late game finishers, the problem is, I was going to say in a commander deck, this is it. But the problem is in commander, planeswalkers just aren't as good. This one might be. This one might be because that minus ability of 6 is very powerful. And that 0 ability is easy to abuse with things like doubling season and what's the procession thing? The 4 mana white one. Anointed Procession, right? Easy to do. You get 4 2/2s out with this thing and it's on turn 6. It's hard to get rid of it. It really is. Garruk is a strong planeswalker. So that's 2 for 2. 2 for 2 strong planeswalkers. The next card that we were talking about today is Outlaw's Merriment. For 1 generic, a red and double white. It's an enchantment. It says, at the beginning of your upkeep, choose 1 at random. you create a red and white creature token with those characteristics. So let's go down the list. There are 3. First one is a 3/1 human warrior with trample and haste. The second one is a 2/1 human cleric with lifelink and haste. The third one is a 1/2 human rogue with haste, and when this creature enters battlefield, it deals 1 damage to any target. This card is nuts. Here's the problem, is that once you've played this, if you start getting 2 to 3 of these, that's when it's good. That's when it's really good. Get 2 of these out at a time. Fuck off. What are you supposed to do against that? It's just an impossible value engine for your opponent to come back from, because this costs 1 card and will effectively, once it starts making 2 to 3 card worth bodies of cards that you would already have in your deck, then that is hard to deal with for most decks, right? Because what are you going to do? Use removal against these tokens? You're not going to win that way. So, very good card. I like it. Moving right along, we have Oko Thief of Crowns. Oko Thief of Crowns is another 3-mana planeswalker. Whoa. It says 1 generic, 1 green, and 1 blue for a 4 loyalty planeswalker, Oko. It has a +2. Nice. Its +2 is create a food token, so I don't know how relevant foods are going to be, but you can do that. It also has a +1 where target artifact or creature loses all abilities and becomes a green elk creature with base power and toughness 3/3. This is more versatile than it seems, because you can use it on your own creature. Like, you put out a creature turn 1 or 2 that has an ETB and then is no longer good. Then you make a 3/3 out of it. You have some food lying around, you make a food into a 3/3. That's pretty good. You get rid of your opponent's best creature with it, and then even if you just +1, you don't have to +2. If you +1, you immediately get to use its ultimate next turn. Hell yeah. Its ultimate says, -5, exchange control of target artifact or creature you control, and target creature and opponent controls with power 3 or less. I don't know how to feel about that. The fact that it is power 3 or less is a bit disappointing, I will admit. It's not as strong as the other ones we've seen, and I don't know if there's a deck that it will see play in, but it's definitely not the worst planeswalker we've seen in recent years. So the next card that we are going to look at today, we're going to go over all of the Brawl deck commanders in quick succession, because there's 4 of them. So let's start with Elil, the Artful Provocateur. It is 1 generic and all the 3 colors in, what the fuck's it called? It's got a white, a blue, and a black. It's a legendary creature, Fae, Fairy, Warlock. It's a 2/3 with Flying, Death Touch, and Lifelink. Those are keywords. It says other creatures you control with Flying get +1/+0, and whenever you cast an artifact or enchantment spell, create a 1/1 blue fairy creature token of Flying. Whew. On its own, it's a good card, because 4 mana for a 2/3 of Flying, Death Touch, and Lifelink is good. Like, I think you would play that. It's relevant enough. It does enough. Other creatures you control flying get +1/+0. Okay, now we're getting into that like good category. Then you get the artifact enchantment thing. Very strong. It's a strong commander just because it has so many keywords and abilities for such a low mana cost that it can't be bad. Do you get me? Like, it can't be. It's got too much going on. Problem is there a deck for this? I don't know. Like, it's very strange. Like, is the enchantment artifact make flyers deck a thing? If it is, this card will be in it. With that, we look at Corvold, the Fey Cursed King. This is my favorite. 2 generic, and we're looking at all Jund, so that is black, red, and green for the Jund amount. It's legendary creature, Dragon Noble. 4/4 for a flying, 5 mana for the flying 4/4. It says whenever Corvold, Fey Cursed King, enters the battlefield or attacks, you sacrifice another permanent. Okay? Whenever you sacrifice a permanent, put a 1/1 counter on Corvold and draw a card. I like this. Here's why. Sack decks are already a thing. There are sack decks all around. The fact that it ETBs and you have to sack a thing isn't actually that relevant, because if you play this with things like Viscera Seer, which is a 1 mana dude it's a 1 mana 1/1 vampire that says sack a creature, scry 1. You can sack 3 creatures, put 3 1/1 counters on this, and draw 3 cards. It is so easy to sack a thing. So the fact that your payoff is draw cards when you sack things already, and make this huge ass unstoppable body, seems really good to me. It's a strong commander. Is it going to beat out other commanders? Probably not. Like, Commander's a pretty tough format, but it does something different, and that's the best part about it. It does something different in these colors, and it cares about sack outlets. We have a sacrificing commander. I like that. Next card that we look at is Chulane. Chulana? I don't know with these names, man. I'm just trying my best. He's a Teller of Tales, 2 generic, and he's got the Bant colors, which is green, white, and blue. For legendary creature, Human Druid, it's Vigilance 2/4. Okay, understated. But it says whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card, then you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Holy shit, what the fuck? That is on its own. Whew! Let's unpack that. This is hella ramp and hella card draw stapled on one card. Any commander that can make you a bunch of mana and draw you cards to use with that mana is stupidly good, because it gets around the once a turn land thing, and just come on. And then it's got the 3, it has another ability, 3 generic, tap it, return target creature you control to its owner's hand. So if you have creatures with relevant abilities, now when you cast them, the relevant abilities happen. Then with Kulana here, you can pay the 3, return it at your opponent's end step, play it again next turn, get more relevant abilities. You get it. It's an engine. It does what it wants to. The strongest one of these commanders, in my opinion. This is our powerhouse commander. Last card that we are looking at today is Sir Gwyn, Hero of Ashvale. It is 3 generic, a red, a white, and a black for a legendary creature, Human Knight. It's a 5/5 with Vigilance and Menace. It says whenever an equipped creature you control attacks, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. And then equipment you control have equip Knight 0. Okay. Here's the problem. 6 mana. That's a problem right away. You play this thing with Swiftfoot Boots, you play this with the new Glass Slipper, you play this with Lightning Greaves. You play this with any way to give it protection and any way to give it haste. Because 1, you want to be attacking in with this immediately. 2, you need it to not die, because if this card starts to die, if it dies twice, it costs 10 mana, your commander is effectively like unplayable. Like, it's that bad. But your whole deck revolves around it. I know it's only 1 mana more than the previous ones, but 1 mana is a big difference. 5 mana is a lot for a commander. Okay, let me put that down there right now. 5 is a lot. It's got to do something good. This doesn't do enough for 6. That's purely how I see it. It doesn't do enough for 6. And that is all. Those are all of the multicolored cards we have for Throne of Eldraine right now. I thought they were pretty cool. I actually think multicolored cards are looking sweet. There's a lot of shitty ones I didn't talk about, but what we do have are some that are pretty spicy, and those planeswalkers are no joke, so keep an eye out. That is my second to last video. Next after this, I'm going to talk about artifacts, lands, and anything I missed. With that being said, we are coming up quick on pre-release. I hope these videos have helped you to prepare for it, as I know they have helped me. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, let me know in the comments. And beyond that, there will be some more videos of Throne, singular, of Eldraine to come. Thank you so much for your patronage. My name is Jespresso. Bye. Jespresso.